I'm now joined on the line by Ken Doherty, World Snooker Amateur Champion in 1989 and World Professional Snooker Championship Champion in 1997, beating Stephen Hendry 18 frames to 12 frames, while also appearing in the 1998 and 2003 finals, coming up just short against John Higgins and Mark Williams. Ken, if I can touch firstly on the 97 win and making that breakthrough to become World Champion, what were your own memories and personal highlights of the tournament?
Where do I start? Well, I suppose beating Stephen Hendry in the final was a great milestone. He hadn't lost in the previous five finals, so he was unbeaten, and I was a big sort of underdog against him. But I sort of I don't know. That year I just sort of had a sort of belief that I hadn't had before, and possibly haven't had since. But I could just see myself picking up the trophy for some reason. I just sort of believed in it and saw it and visualised it, but it was very, very difficult. There was a lot of pressure, but Stephen Hendry beating him in the final, that was the icing on the cake. He'd won it 5 times, as I said. Went on to win it 7 times, and he's probably the best player that's ever played the game. So to beat him was a dream come true as well.
And Ken, if I can bring you on to 1998, falling to John Higgins, and 2003, where in most people's eyes you were playing some of the best snooker of your career, producing miraculous comebacks which saw final frame wins over Graham Dott, Sean Murphy, and in successive comeback wins against Paul Hunter and John Higgins before the final itself against Mark Williams, who led 11 frames to 4 at one stage before you pegged him back to 12 frames apiece, and then 16 frames apiece before narrowly losing 18 to 16. After a 6-year stint since your last world title win, did you feel that at the time that your name was destined to be on the trophy when you came back to level?
I thought so. I mean, the first round I beat Murphy 10-9, I beat Graham Dott 14-12, and then, the quarterfinals you mentioned against John Higgins, I was 10-0 up against John Higgins. He came back to 10-7. I eventually beat him 14-8, and then, of course, the match that a lot of people remember was the 15-9 deficit to Paul Hunter in the semi-finals, and coming back to beat him 17-16. So I thought my name was on the trophy. But I think a little bit of that semi-final might have taken it out of me going into the final, because, I lost 6-2, I think, or 7-1 the first session. I was 10-2, 11-4 down, as you said. I eventually did claw it back, but it just sort of maybe got off to a very, very slow start, and it was just a bridge too far towards the end. But that was the one that got away. I mean, of all the matches that I think I've lost in my career, and I have lost quite a few of them, I think losing that final was the most devastating, because I really felt that would have been really the best ever, because of so many glass. I think I played more frames than anyone has ever played, even to win the tournament, and to end up on the losing side still was a devastating effect on me, and it sort of knocked me for a few years after that even.
Yeah, and Ken, in our research in your career we've done, it shows you've achieved 326 century breaks, achieving a 147 break in 2012 in the Paul Hunter Classic. You were ranked second in the world in 2005 and 2006, and provisionally number 1 ranked the following year. And you have amassed 6 ranked competition wins, and you've played snooker all over the world. Are you happy and content in what you've achieved in your career so far?
In a word, probably no. But I think, I've been very lucky. I played a game that I love playing, still playing it, to emulate my heroes and peers, of the likes of Alex Higgins and Dennis Taylor, who've gone before me and won the World Championship. Just to win that was what I set out to do as a young kid. When I saw Alex Higgins winning the World Championship in 1982, that inspired me to take up snooker and want to be a snooker player. So to do that and win the World Championship was sort of a dream come true. But you're never ever happy, and no sportsman should ever be happy, while he's still playing, because there's still other goals that you want to achieve. There's still more matches that you want to win, and there's matches that you've let slip, and certain things that have let slip in your career that you would have liked to rectify. But there's no point in looking back. You're never happy, as I said, but saying that, winning the World Championship was something that no one ever can take away from you, and you'll always be remembered by.
And Ken, growing up in Dublin, how did you first get involved in snooker, and how did it come about where you started competing at competition level before deciding to embark on snooker as what you wanted to do with your life?
Yeah, well, I mean, in my village in Ranelagh in Dublin, there was a snooker club there which opened in 1976 and was called Jason's of Ranelagh, and it backed on the back of my mother's house backed onto the snooker club, and I could never sort of get away from it. I could hear the clicking of the balls going to bed at night. I got a snooker table from Santa in 1977. That was at the end of my bunk bed, and I used to watch Pop Black once a week with my father, on a Thursday night, and that's when I first saw Alex Higgins play. And when I saw him play, and particularly a few years later in '82 when he won that World Championship that I mentioned before, that was the inspiration for me. I wanted it. It was on my doorstep. It was nice and handy to go into. There was a great buzz around Jason's at the time. There was a jukebox. There was like Space Invader machines. There was an Evel Knievel, like a pinball machine. There was a pool table, a snooker table, and like all the adolescents of the area wanted to go to Jason's. It was like a buzz place to go to. So the fact that I could beat some of the adults, even though I was standing on a biscuit tin at the time, it sort of helped my sort of stature as a young sort of kid. And funny thing was, when I started beating the adults, and somebody hid the biscuit tin on me, so I couldn't play it for a while until I found it again. But no, that's how I really got started. And the people who owned Jason's, the Cosgraves, they were very, very good to me, and they sponsored me, and they gave me free practice. And without their help, I don't think I would have achieved what I have achieved in the game.
And Ken, the recent breakthroughs of Stuart Bingham and Judd Trump has really brought much more public attention and a new following to snooker once more. And with flamboyant characters like the great Ronnie O'Sullivan still going strong, do you feel the current state of snooker at elite level has a bright and promising future?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, like Judd Trump could take over from the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's probably the people's champion, who took over from Jimmy White and Alex Higgins before him. I mean, O'Sullivan is probably still the main man, but Judd Trump is one of those up-and-coming young players that can really sort of create a mass following. We've got some great players in the game. We've got Neil Robertson, Ding Junhui, who creates a mass following from China. I mean, he gets like 40, 50, 60 million people watching him every time he plays on the TV. So I think, the young crop of players are going to keep the game very, very healthy. And even some of the more elder statesmen, the likes of John Higgins, who won a tournament recently, Stuart Bingham, who at 38 years of age won the World Championship last year. So there's a great eclectic mix of sort of experienced players as well as young guns coming through. So I think the state of snooker is in a healthy state at the moment, and the fact that the likes of Eurosport are continuing to support it. BBC are there now. ITV4 are getting involved. It looked like BT Sport might take on a few tournaments for next year, and of course Sky still have the shootout and the Masters Championship as well. So it's in a very, very healthy state, and a lot of the broadcasters are jumping on the bandwagon of the mass viewing figures that we're achieving, like not only in Ireland, in the UK, but mainly in Europe now and across all of Asia. So at the moment, it's pretty good.
And Ken, finally, if I can bring you on to your own plans and schedule for the year ahead, and also your opinion on the upcoming 188 Bet Champion of Champions Snooker tournament starting on ITV4 this week. Do you feel that John Higgins and other top seeds like Mark Selby are favourites for the competition, or who do you fancy to succeed in that tournament?
Well, it's a tough one because you've got all the champions of the previous 12 months, but it's a shame that Ronnie O'Sullivan's not going to be involved. He won it last year, and he's not going to play in the UK Championship, which starts on the BBC, I think, on the 28th of November as well. That's going to be disappointing, but it's very hard to call a winner. There's so many good players in there. Judd Trump, John Higgins, as I said, Selby, Bingham is in there. You've got a couple of young kids who won the World Cup for China, a 17 and an 18-year-old, or a 16 and an 18-year-old in there who might cause a little upset. You never know. But it's going to be interesting to watch. It'd be hard to pick a winner, but it'll certainly be interesting to watch. I think you're going to see some great snooker, whoever wins it. And
Ken, how about your own schedule and for the upcoming year and your own plans?
Yeah, the UK Championship, as I said, that's the next one. The qualifiers start. I play an old foe of mine, would you believe, Tony Tornado Drago, who at the ripe old age of 51, I think, is still playing away. We've had some battles down through the years, and we're going to be playing in the first round proper of the UK Championships, and that match will be on the 23rd of November. And if I qualify, then it will be TV stages for the BBC, which starts on the 28th of November, which is a Saturday. So that's to look forward to next. And then we have a couple of tournaments just before Christmas, and then feed up and enjoy the festivities with the family, and then look forward to 2016.
Well, Ken, thanks a million for taking the call. It was a real pleasure talking to you here on RCB Sport, and hopefully we can hear from you sometime in the near future.
Absolutely, anytime you like. It's great talking to you, and I wish all your listeners a happy Christmas if I don't speak to them before then.
Cheers. Thanks, Ken.
Okay.
Bye.